From mastering a single move to take out the bullet to dropping dudes left and right in the gym, this is how Alexa Grasso prepares for a fight. She trained for months leading up to her match with Valentina Shevchenko. That's how intense her camp was. Right after the Mexican became the flyweight champ, she told the world that it wasn't just a fluke. Alexa took Val's back in one swift motion and sunk in her hooks to choke out the former queen. All of that happened in a blink of an eye. In the interview after the fight, Grasso explained how she anticipated the bullet's spinning attacks, and that was one of the weaknesses that Alexa and her team had identified. One opening was all she needed to take down one of the greatest flyweights of all time. Still, when the Mexican told everyone that she'd trained that particular move, many fans didn't really believe her. So just days after securing the UFC gold for herself, Alexa posted an old training video on her Instagram, where she could be seen drilling the same move with one of her training partners. I'm sure most of you thought that she had no chance against Shevchenko in that fight, and to be honest, I thought the same. But hard work and smart strategy paid off, and having a great team backing her up also helped. Grasso's jiu-jitsu coach, Diego Lopez, went on record and confirmed that they made her practice the same move thousands of times. He also revealed that they went through the same motions day in and day out, but Lopez couldn't claim all the credit for that. He said that it was actually Francisco Grasso who recognized that Val leaves an opening whenever she's throwing one of her spinning attacks, and he brought it to Diego's attention. From there, they could work out a way to use it against the bullet as they demonstrated at UFC 285. Lopez also talked about how the months leading up to the title fight were mostly used for polishing up the skills. Real work began ever since Alexa started having some success at 12-5 when she took out Ji Yeon Kim and Macy Barber. As early as 2021, Grasso realized that she could be in serious contention for the title, so Shevchenko became a huge talking point at the Lobo gym in Mexico, cause she was the champ and it looked like no one could ever defeat her. That's just baffling foresight from the champ. Not many fighters look that far up their careers and focus mainly on their next fight and the paycheck that comes with it. Alexa didn't only win the title that night, she became the first Mexican female UFC champion and became the first ever fighter to submit Valentina in her 20-year career. As you can expect, it meant the world to her, cause the win over Val put her on the MMA map. Even before the fight, Alexa talked about how she prepared for Val. She didn't go into details back then, obviously, but told her fans that she took it to extremes in her training, diet, and conditioning. Alexa was very disciplined throughout her camp, and she was confident that she became a much better fighter due to what she forced herself to go through in preparation for the title fight. You've got to hand it to her though. It's not easy getting ready to go into the cage against the bullet. As you must have seen over the years, Val had no clear weaknesses in the octagon. In fact, she was one of the most complete fighters to have ever been on the UFC roster. Her striking was always on point, she was too strong with her wrestling, and her submission game was always a secret threat. But Grasso was able to outmatch her everywhere, especially in the striking department. I mean, there aren't many athletes who can do that to Val, but Alexa was more than her equal. The credit obviously goes to her coach and uncle, who've been working with her since she was a little girl. Coming from a solid boxing pedigree, it's not exactly a surprise how great of a striker Alexa is. What was a little shocking was how she forced Val to turn into a wrestler. Boxing is the bread and butter for Grasso. She practically breathes it. Alexa does insane amounts of bag work. In the gym, you'll see that she spends most of her time ripping into the heavy bag. She also has her coaches work her to the point of failure on the pads too. It's almost artistic what she does with her combos. Her hands are too fast to follow, and she does some of the most advanced combos ever. Alexa doesn't limit her pad work to the gym either. She likes pushing back the couch at her home just so she could have a little space to practice in her living room too. That's how committed she is to her craft. Lightning fast combos mean little if you can't hurt your opponent, so Alexa also invests a lot of time in explosive strength training as well. Exercises with kettlebells and medicine balls help her achieve that, along with a lot of bodyweight exercises such as pull-ups, chin-ups, and burpees. This helps Grasso in packing that kick in her punches, and she used that effectively against Vivian Araujo and Shevchenko. Apart from this, Alexa also works on her balance a lot. She often uses the Bosu ball for that, as well as for core strengthening exercises, and combines that resistance bands for improving her flexibility as well. This gives her many tools to work within her fights, as she can move around more freely in the octagon and get out of difficult positions more effectively. Alexa's coach also makes her do some unorthodox exercises. She'll juggle balloons and stop them from falling to the ground, and Francisco Grasso would also throw balls at her to punch. It may seem weird when you look at it, but this helps Alexa in improving her overall coordination, so she'll always have her eyes on everything her opponents try to hit her with, and also allow her to hit them back instantly. Then, of course, there's her ground game, which keeps getting better every single day. Coming in from such a boxing-heavy background, you'd probably not expect Grasso to do that well in the grappling department, but that's not the case. Alexa uses most of her grappling defensively, just so she can get back to her feet. You all remember how she kept escaping Araujo on the ground and went back to keep tagging her when they were standing. Grasso did the same thing to Val, too. She rode out through everything the Bullet tried to do on the ground and didn't allow the former champ any chance at a submission attempt. What was really impressive was the fact that Alexa was a purple belt in BJJ back then, and she was only promoted to the brown belt after she secured the flyweight crown for herself. Alexa trains regularly with Lopez, and he's full of praises for her grappling prowess. She already choked out one of the best female fighters ever, and Grasso's only gonna get better from there. Alexa did look a little shaky on some of her takedown defenses, though, and Daniel Cormier thinks that she'll need to shore that up if she wants to extend her stay on the top of the division. That's a genuinely helpful piece of advice from the former double champ, and it's something that Grasso and her team should look into. They've done pretty well so far, but a lot of her new training and exercises can be attributed to her new diet.
Well, imagine that, I won the most important fight of my life. I did everything I had to do to get my hand raised, and I knew that I had to finish the fight no matter what.
Alexa started out as a strawweight, which took a huge toll on her health. She admitted that she couldn't lift weights and was unable to do even half of what she does now in the gym. Her main focus was weight cutting back then, and everything else came second to that. But now, all that has changed since she's competing at more of her natural weight class. Grasso describes it like she got to keep the speed of a smaller fighter, but added the strength of a 125 pound to her diet's a lot healthier, cause she can take more proteins, which help her in gaining muscle mass. She still has to cut weight before her fights, but now it's a lot less grueling, and that frees her up to focus on the more important aspects of a training camp. I can only imagine how scary she's in practice now, cause Alexa was taking out guys in sparring back in the day. Some level of stuff like that is expected given the lesser number of female fighters, but Grasso was really laying it into one of her training partners. She kept tagging him with her quick punches, and when he tried to advance into her, Alexa managed the distance perfectly. To be honest, the man looked a little shocked at how hard Grasso was hitting him. At one point, I even noticed his legs buckle as the flyweight queen landed a couple of devastating leg kicks. If she can hurt guys bigger than her that badly, imagine what she does to her opponents. So, from dropping dudes in the gym to mastering a single move to take out the Bullet, this was how Alexa Grasso prepares for a fight.